Coach Tex, remember at DFW Penguin Basketball, Penguinhoops.com. Hey guys, I have an amazing video for you guys today. I dig a little bit deeper than I normally do as far as sports psychology and stuff, but I kind of wanted to address this, and I apologize beforehand if I slightly offend you. This is not directed toward any of my parents, any of my players, any coaches that I know personally, but I kind of thought about this topic and I was like, man, you know, I'm pretty sure there are people out there that think about this, that thought that they were in this situation. So I just want to tell you my spill on it, and hopefully you get something out of it, and also it puts you at ease if you ever come across this situation. So the topic of the day is my coach a racist? Now, a lot of times we naturally, depending on what race you are, your ethnicity, your nationality, your background, how you grew up, more often than not, you automatically go into questioning when certain things happen. Hey, was this some type of attack at me because of my race or my nationality or my gender, right? But I'm here to kind of clarify some of the things and some of the variables that you guys don't think about as parents, and some of the players that you don't think about, because it's a lot that goes into it. Now, before we get started, there are some coaches and there are people out there, just like we know, that do not like other genders, don't like other races or other nationalities, and there is nothing that we can do about that. But with sports, it hurts a little bit more because it's something that you either do for leisure, or it hurts even more when you're a kid and you can't, you know, it's nothing you can do about it as a kid. That makes sense. You can't really call out a coach when you can kind of have signs, because these kids are really, really smart and they catch on to stuff better than most parents, but they don't want to necessarily say that sometimes, but sometimes the kid feels like the coach doesn't like them and they can't really understand why. And then on the other hand, there are kids that do things that you guys don't see as parents to make you question certain things about a coach, but you don't see it. You're not at practice, especially with school ball. You're not at practice, so you don't see stuff. It's little stuff on the sidelines or little things that your kid may do or say or how they behave that you don't see, that the coach sees, and you wonder why certain results are happening with your son that aren't favorable for him, right? So we're gonna get right into it. Now, the first thing is I want to talk about, and I'm defending the coaches right now, right? Because I'm a coach. Now, the coach is not can't automatically pull the race card with the coach, right? Sometimes, the first point I'm gonna make is sometimes it's your kid, right? Now, you guys may see stuff and be like, hey man, you know, Coach Tex, you know, the school coach, he's not playing my son, this, that, another. You know, his buddies from his club team, his AAU team, they're all on the A team, and my son's on the B team, or my son is not playing as much as he does on his club team, and he's better than all these kids on the team from what I've seen. They've been playing against him for years. This is one thing that you parents, a lot of parents don't think about. Okay, your kid could play totally different in school ball, at school practices, than they do in AAU ball. Right? A lot of times there's no practice in AAU, right? They just go to the gym and scrimmage and shoot around and jack around. With school ball, when you have to actually practice and compete, and you got to run those lines, you got to know the plays, you got to be disciplined, you got to show up to practice on time, you got to wear the right gear. Your kid may not be doing that and you don't see that, and they're not reporting that to you. They only tell you one side of the story, and you only see one result at the games. So that could be one of the major reasons why your kid is not getting the results they want. It's not because the coach is racist, it's because at practice, your kid is just not executing as well as their friends. And you say, hey, you know, my son starts over them. He's got 5 buddies on the A team with him in school, and my son starts over them. He plays better than them. Well, it's a little bit different with school ball because of those factors, practicing and stuff. You know, discipline. And then too, also, how they behaving at school, but we'll get into that too. All right, so that's number one. Your son does not perform as well in school ball practices as they do for their club or AAU team. I'm gonna be totally honest with you guys. Okay, as kids, you guys have to remember how you used to act around your cool uncle or cool aunt when you went to visit them, how they just kind of let you do whatever they want, or grandma. And then when you act around when your dad's around, when your mom's around, right? Or when certain people around. You may be in a classroom where it's one teacher that lets you guys jack around and joke and stuff, and then you get this one teacher, or the principal comes around, walks into the classroom, and everybody here, right? The point I'm trying to make is, the second point is, your kid at school and at practice may just be a total shithead toward the coach, right? Giving them a hard time, joking around, playing around, right? Not wearing the right attire to practice. Just being a total clown and giving the coach a hard time, to the point where your kid's talent outweighs, or your kid's behavior outweighs their talent, to where the coach is like, man, you know, like, I don't know what I'm gonna get out of this kid because he's always joking and playing around. I can't take him serious. So instead of me starting him, I'm gonna put him on the bench, right? You know, certain kids do certain things sometimes, the coaches, that rubs them the wrong way, and they can never dig themselves out of that hole. So another reason why you may be thinking that your coach is racist or doesn't like your kid is because at school and at practices and games and stuff, on the sideline and the locker room, they're just a little shithead toward the coach or assistant coaches, right? And it just rubbed the coach the wrong way. It goes back to my third point. Okay, your kid, the third point is, your kid may have just done something to the coach at the start of the season or right after trials were over that just rubbed him the wrong way, right? He could have said something, he could have done something, he could have broken the locker, play fighting, or something like that. And some of these coaches, they hold grudges over little stuff, man. You gotta remember that these coaches are not robots, they're human beings. And some of these coaches, they've been teaching school and stuff for a long time, or they've been coaching AAU ball and stuff for a long time. And they may be under someone coaching the AAU club or whatever it may be that wants your kid on the team, but they don't really like him because of their behavior, or they've done something to the coach, or said something, or something has occurred to where the coach it just rubbed him the wrong way. He's kind of like has like a slight grudge against the kid and doesn't fully play him as much as he probably would if that thing didn't happen. So that's number 3. And the number 4 thing about this, guys, I'll be totally honest with you. Okay, we all are biased with people that we know and care about, right? And especially, I don't have any kids, but you guys, you have to be, you're their parent. You have to be biased toward your kid's ability to a certain extent. But let's just be honest. If you're watching a basketball game on TV, you know when somebody's playing good and you know when somebody's playing bad, right? But when it's your kid, sometimes you kind of overlook or you downplay their mistakes. And the 4th point I'm trying to make is, your kid is probably not as good as you think they are, especially in the realm of the team that they're on right now. They're just not as good as you think they are. They can't shoot as good. They can't handle the ball as good as some of the other players on the team. They don't rebound as well. They don't hustle as well, right? When you watch the game, you watch your kid play. The coach is watching everyone all the time. He's noticing a lot of stuff. But you watching the game, you see the positive stuff that your kid is doing. The only time you see the negative stuff a lot of times when it snowballs, or it's a lot of it, right? But the coach sees everything. It could be little stuff like him not setting the screen the right way that you thought you never even like thought to look at that, or him passing the ball incorrectly, right? Or him sprinting back on defense fast enough when he got on them and practiced about it, right? Or him going 3 for 12 from the 3-point line, and that's his role on the team, and other kids are going 3 for 5, 3 for 6, right? but you only noticed that he hit 3 threes, but you didn't count the 9 misses that he made. So sometimes you think that your kid is doing better than what they are, but this is not the coach. This is the kid, right? Now I want to talk about some of the things from a kid's point of view, but what coaches do and what they see that may make them seem like they're racist when they're really just biased to certain things. Now, the first point I want to make that coaches do that makes them seem like they may be racist towards your kid. And when you say that, it's just like, Coach, why are you saying racist? I mean, it doesn't have to necessarily be race or creed. It'll just seem like, why is this coach giving my son a hard time of all people? To where after a while, when you're talking about it, you feel like the only thing that's left that makes sense is this guy is a racist guy, right? He don't like my kid because of their race, right? But a lot of times it's not that, it's these other factors. Does that make sense? So I hope you guys are watching to this point to get that from it. But the number one thing that coaches do that may make them seem like they're being that way is some coaches, when they pick teams, especially when you talk about middle school and 9th grade, or even like lower end like club and AAU, or just some guys, you guys have to remember that a lot of coaches, guys that coach basketball, they weren't athletes at a high level. So they only see this, which is the most athletic, tall, big, strong kid, right? It's kind of like that factor of like your kid made the 7th grade team, or your kid is trying out for the 7th grade team, and he made the B team. And then you look on the A team and it's all big football kids. That's because of 2 things. The coach is a football guy and he's not a basketball guy. So he picked the most athletic football players. And then he may have added 2 or 3 of the best kids in the school that everyone knows is the good basketball guy due to them going to gym class and cooking people in gym class, right? But everybody knows these 3 or 4 guys are the best basketball players in the 7th grade. And then they just add a bunch of athletic big football guys to the A team, and that's the A team, which all the skilled players go to the B team, right? Which some of those skilled players will be a better fit on the A team, but the coach just only sees this. Big, tall, fast, athletic kids. Okay, when I say athletic, it's not a kid that plays a sport. Athletic means I run fast, I jump high, I can sprint from left to right quick. I can get to A to B to C real fast. So basically kids that run fast and jump high and just look like an athlete, right? They may be strong, cut up. You know, some kids are naturally just like cut up and built when they're young. And this is all this coach sees, because either he's a football guy or he only understands athletes to be this way. They don't understand skill, right? So that's number one. Now this is another one. The second one is one that's kind of messed up, but it's the truth, right? And we're all guilty of this, right? We're all guilty of this. Some people only see certain races or ethnicities of people to be athletes in a certain sport, right? So there are some people that only want their running back on their team to be the black kid, right? Some people only want their quarterback on the team to be the white guy, right? Some people only want their soccer team to be full of Hispanic people, I know it sounds crazy, but this is how some people think. I don't think like that. Like, if you can put the ball in the hole, I don't care if you're an alien and you're purple or green, you're a girl or a boy. If you can put the ball in the hole and handle the press, I don't care what you look like. I don't care what your ethnicity is, your nationality is, but there are some people that do the programming from watching TV, being in school themselves, talking to others, that they build up this certain aesthetic of what a player is supposed to look like on a certain sports team, right? And it's crazy because we're all guilty of that to a certain extent, right? Like, I remember, I don't want to talk about this, I don't want to talk about it too long, but I remember one of my parents, this is like 3-4 years ago, and the Big Three was having tryouts in Dallas, and this parent was like, hey, Coach Tex, are you gonna try out for the Big Three? I was like, what? He's like, yeah, you should try out for the Big Three, man. You look like you can still play. I'm like, dude, do you? I know I look like I can play because I'm in shape from lifting weights, but I can't hoop. Like, I can't run up and down the court, and I definitely can't keep up with an ex-professional athlete. Now, this is coming from a guy that, in his mind, he's into, fitness and sports. So in his mind, he thinks that I look like I can compete with those guys because of the way I look. But he doesn't realize in his mind that, yeah, I can demonstrate and practice with little kids, but I can't go play in the Big Three, and I can't even play in the men's league right now, right? But there are some people that just look at certain things and they say, man, this person fits this mold. So if your kid looks a certain way, they're gonna automatically, some people are gonna automatically assume that they can't play or that they can play. Your kid wears goggles, oh, he can't play. Your kid wears a sleeve and has all the cool gear, well, he can play, right? Your kid grew up in a certain neighborhood or he lives in a certain place and he's this ethnicity. Oh yeah, he can definitely play sports. One of my favorite shows I used to watch in college and stuff was a show called Everybody Hates Chris. This is one episode of this show where the main character, Chris, is a black kid. He's going to a school that's predominantly white in New York. And they have tryouts, and the coach thinks that he can play just because he's the black kid at school. But he's absolutely horrible. So he's going through school trying to hide not playing, and everybody at the school is hyped about him playing because I don't know why they thought he could hoop, but he was horrible. But the main reason why they thought he could hoop because he was the only black kid at the school. So that's just kind of an example, but the point I'm trying to make is some coaches automatically think that your kid can't play or can play due to their ethnicity or their background. I'm about to get a little bit deeper, and you have to open up your mind a little bit on this point, because this is what happens a lot of times, especially out here in Plano, Allen, McKinney, Lovejoy, Melissa, Sexy. All this stuff up this way, it gets to a point where to make it easier for coaches to pick teams, make it easier for coaches to narrow stuff down. Now they have gotten into this thing where this has always been a thing, right? But now even more, they're doing it with little kids, and it starts really young now, and it's unfortunate. Even with me, like some coaches use me for this, and at least the thing about me though, I do it the right way, right? And I'm honest with coaches, and I tell them the truth, right? And I'm never going to send a kid to a coach or another AAU program or call a varsity coach at a school in Plano or anywhere else unless the kid is valid in my eyes, right? And I'll tell them the truth about their ability. But the point I want to make, the third point, I think this is the third point, is the reason why you may think that your kid is not getting a fair shake and that your coach may be racist or biased is because your son is not one of the good old boys. Coach Tex, what is a good old boy? In my eyes, it's basically your son is not in the loop of club teams, parents, other players, ex-players, other coaches in the area or whatever it may be. They didn't go to the school's camp. They didn't play for the right club coming up. So they're out of the good old boy group. It's kind of like, just think of it like this. Your kid is the outsider. Your kid is the new kid on the block, right? So sometimes, regardless of your kid's ability, he may be better than everybody that's in that good old boy group, but they'll put him on the B team. They'll put him on the bench because he hasn't been a part of the good old boys. He's an outsider. So, prime example, there's a club in a certain school district. There's a club in a certain school district in this area, right? And if you look at all the kids that make the A team and B team, most of those kids come from this club, right? That feeds into these middle schools, right? Most of the kids that make the 9th grade team come from this certain basketball club. The outsiders that are in mainly are the guys that are extremely elite and better than everybody in this club, right? All the other regular kids that play and go to school in that area, a lot of times they don't make the team. If they do, it's by luck. But I guarantee you, those kids that are the best players in this certain club that is tied in with the middle school coach, the JV coach on the on the high school level, and a varsity coach, those kids that are plugged in with that certain club and has played with them since 2nd, 3rd, 4th grade, they're going to get favoritism. They're going to make the team. And some of you guys are like, man, your kid's like, man, I cook this kid at practice every day. Not a part of the good old boys, right? It's kind of like you having connections to get a job and 3 of your friends work at this company, right? You don't have nearly as many credentials as the other people applying for the job. Hell, you might not have any credentials at all, but guess what? You're a good old boy. So you're gonna get pushed ahead and you're gonna get that job before them. It's the same thing with sports. And I know it sounds crazy, but it is the truth, right? Sometimes if your coach doesn't know your dad and your mom, you haven't been coming to, I don't know, let's just use a random school. But you haven't been coming to Princeton High's summer camps since you were in the 3rd grade, and these other kids have. So they've been getting invited to other little camps and clinics and stuff, and they've been coming. And now they varsity coach sees them coming to the camps and clinics all the time. So he pushes them onto this club so he can keep an eye on them, right? Or your varsity coach just knows this whole group of kids coming in the 7th grade, and he's making sure they stay together, right? And your kid is better than all of them, right? He's on the B team. You're like, man, what the hell is going on, right? It's just that your kid is not one of the good old boys. And that will come across to you when you think about it, depending on your nationality or your race, creed, or whatever it may be. It will come off to you as the only thing that makes sense is this coach is racist. Well, that's not necessarily the case. All right, guys, I'm gonna get a little bit more deeper into the psychology of some of these coaches, right? Now, I know this is gonna be a long video, and I know that some of this stuff may sound crazy, but this shit is true, right? I've seen it. I've heard coaches talk about it. I've experienced it myself. As a kid, I experienced it, me coaching and seeing other coaches do it and tell me they're doing stuff like this. So I'm not just pulling this out of the air, guys. I've been around basketball a lot. I've seen a lot. I've coached over 10,000 basketball games. I've coached over 10,000 kids. So I've seen all kinds of stuff from me, hearing it from parents, hearing it from coaches directly, hearing it from kids, seeing it, overhearing conversations. So I know this may sound crazy, but this is the truth of the matter with a lot of stuff. And I may be missing some variables and some points, but these are the points I thought about when I put this video together. So, one of the other reasons, I don't know what point I'm on. What point am I on? Like 4? Okay. I'm on point number 4. Now, number 4 is your coach. I know it's gonna sound crazy. Your coach may be jealous of your son's ability and potential as an athlete. Now, it could be 2 different things. Sometimes these coaches really wish that they had the ability that your kid had when they were their age. Because they think, man, if I was that kid, I would have got a scholarship to play ball, or I would have been on varsity early, right? Especially if your kid is not utilizing the talent that they have to its full potential. It bothers some coaches. But some coaches wish that they had the ability that your son had because they feel like their sports life would have been better, right? And then 2, another thing that gets a little bit deeper, these coaches have children, right? And they're athletes. Sometimes these coaches get jealous that their kid is not as athletic as your kid. They couldn't not even be on the same team. They're just like, man, I wish my son was tall like this guy. I wish my son was fast like this kid. This kid is wasting his talent and it's pissing me off. So now they take it out on the kid. It starts off as like, hey, I'm pushing you to be better because I can see your potential. Then when your kid is not really trying to fulfill that, or they're not taking the sport as serious as the coach would like them to, they'll start taking it out and kind of picking on them. So that's number 4. Now, here's the real one. Here's a real one right here, guys, that you're not thinking about when you think about the coach being biased toward your kid. Hey, sometimes people just don't like other people, right? There are some parents that I've had in the past that I like their kid, but I don't like them, right? There are some people or some situations where I've had a kid that I don't really particularly like because they joke around too much or something like that, but I really like their parents a lot, right? Sometimes you just don't like people. There's some referees that I just don't like, and I ban them from my games, right? There are some referees that I love to death. There's some opposing coaches that I like. There are some opposing coaches that I dislike, right? But sometimes coaches just don't like your kid for whatever reason. It could be a lot of different reasons. I don't know. Maybe this coach has your kid in the class. Maybe the coach is a 6th grade science teacher and they had your son in science in the 6th grade. Now he's in the 7th grade. And he's like, I remember how much of a hard time this 6th grader or this kid gave me in the 6th grade. And now I'm gonna take it out on, now I don't like him. So I'm gonna stick him on the C team, even though he probably should start on the B team, right? This just happens. So the 5th point is sometimes the coach just doesn't like your kid. There's nothing you can do about it. This next point stems from the last point of the coach just not liking your kid. And it has nothing, sometimes it has nothing to do with racism, guys. Sometimes, this is like number 6, I think. Sometimes something happens in the past, a coach can overhear a conversation. The coach can see your kid doing stuff, but he's not involved in it. Like your kid joking around in practice or joking around at school or something, or joking around at your AAU club practice or something, or he overhears the conversation and it just rubs him the wrong way, right? And then they kind of just like hold a slight grudge towards your kid. Or someone can tell, the word of mouth is crazy, right? It could be, your school coach or your AAU club coach could be cool with another coach or have a relationship with another coach. And the other coach that your current coach has a relationship with, could say something like, hey, you know, Bobby, he doesn't work hard. Or Bobby has a bad attitude when he doesn't get his way. Or Bobby doesn't care about anything but him scoring. So now this coach already has this in his mind. As soon as he sees a little inkling of whatever was told to him, he just shuts it down, right? He doesn't give your kid a fresh shake and already has some preconceived notion or some preconceived thought about how your kid is, and it just plays out in his mind deeper than it should have, right? So that could be part of it too. Someone told him about your kid or heard about your kid, and now they're just biased toward him. The last point I want to make, which is the whole premise of this video. Sometimes coaches, not just coaches, but people are just racist people, right? It's unfortunate, there's nothing we can do about it. And it's really unfortunate they take it out on kids, but some of these people are like this, but then when they can't really exercise it in their job, they can't exercise it in certain situations, but what they can do if they're a teacher at a school when they can exercise it is on that school team. What they can do, since they can't really do it where they want to do it in their job or whatever they may be, they'll exercise it when they're coaching their son's AAU team. Yeah, they'll do it, right? Because now they have control, complete control over the team. And they can orchestrate things how they want to do it. They can play things off how they want to do it. They can make excuses for not playing Bobby like they want to, right? Because it's their team. Oh, he missed the layup. I don't want to play him anyway. Ooh, I couldn't wait. Let's get him out of the game because I don't like him. Because of his nationality, right? So that could be it, but 9 times out of 10, it's all the other stuff. It's one of the other things that go on. A lot of times these coaches aren't racist. It's just the other stuff that we talked about. Your kid has a bad attitude at practice, or they can't perform well, or they're just not a part of the good old boy group. I don't think a lot of times it's pure racism, because a lot of times, even when a coach may be racially biased or racist, they still want to win. So if your kid is a 6'9", if he's a 6'9" Asian kid and he's the best player in the area, and this person might happen to be racially biased or Asian, he wants to win, he's gonna play him. If this kid is a 6'2" lights out white kid that can shoot the hell out of the ball, they're gonna play him. Right? Because they want to win. Now, sometimes they control and they play them when it's time to win, which is crazy. It's a lot of ways coaches do stuff. They'll play them at the end when they need them or something like that. But at the end of the day, you putting the ball in the hole to a person that may be racially biased, you being able to play, you being able to score that touchdown, you being able to throw that football, you being able to kick that field goal, you be able to score those soccer goals, you be able to hit those damn home runs, it goes out the window to a certain extent, right? Now, some coaches you can really, really spot when they're racist when they do this, and this kid's the best player on the team and they save him until they need him. Now that's really messed up. But for the most part, coaches want to win regardless of what your creed is, what your nationality is, what your color is, and sometimes even your gender, right? Hey guys, I hope you guys got something from this, and I hope you didn't take this personal. I just want to talk about this because I had a conversation with one of my players, and he kind of threw the race card out there. I'm like, hey man, it ain't always the race card, right? This is a player that's a little bit older that I coached a while back, and we just talking about stuff. So I'm like, man, I ought to do a video on this. So I hope you guys got something from it. It's extremely long, but I wanted to put this out there. I'm Coach Takes, remember, DFW Penguin Basketball, penguinhoops.com. I will see you guys later.